Hi there, folks. Welcome to episode 3 of Odd Man Rush, our spooky episode, as you can see by our scary pumpkins. With me, as always, Brian Rokos and Nolan Morosky.
Hello.
We decided to carve some pumpkins yesterday and figured
I wasn't a part of it.
I would do the Stanley Cup Finals. And Brian, who's ever the fan of the Ducks, well, I would say more a fan of the trades that the Ducks make with the Leafs. Over the years.
I'm wearing my Ducks jersey to go along with my Ducks.
You went with the Duck pumpkin, Duck jersey, so that's awesome.
Jake Gardner's a Leaf.
Unfortunately, today we're not actually talking about either Washington, Vegas, or the Ducks, so it's kind of redundant pumpkins. We're going to start out in Chicago. That's funny because we had a little conversation, which I'd like to get back into, I think about 6 months ago, maybe just me and you, Brian, I'm not sure. But I was trying to sell you the idea of teams trading their franchise players while their value is high once they've made their splash. So in other words, like we know Chicago's had 3 cups with the same core.
They have.
Taves and Kane still high value, as well as Duncan Keith. And after missing the playoffs last year, it was my suggestion that maybe they should look to move some of these guys and start to get back some good assets while their value is high. However, they started this year out 6-3-2, which granted it's early, but 6-3-2, 4th in the league for goals for, 4th for shots on goal, and DeBrincat doesn't look like he's showing any signs of a sophomore slump.
No.
So, should they hold on for another run, or are we just seeing sort of a little flare up here because they lost last year?
I do remember that conversation.
Yeah.
First of all, I still think that Chicago is going to remain relevant for the next few years. As the cap continues to go up, Stan Bowman's going to have that much more cap space to build around those guys. Taves is rejuvenated this year for some reason. I think because he had a whole summer off for the first time in his career. So they look good so far. But they're still young enough, those 3 guys. The one player that I can see them trading or trying to trade is Seabrook. I don't think he's aged as well as the other 3. But I don't know. I still think that they're going to keep him. I just don't see those 3 ever getting traded, to be honest. I think they're going to retire Hawks.
What do you think, Nolan? You see them as a playoff team this year, or
I think so.
even in
I don't
tough
see
the
them-
Central is?
I don't see them being in one of the 3 top spots, but definitely one of the wild cards in the West.
If you were to, so do you think that Taves, Kane, Taves, Kane, and Duncan Keith, how do they stack up against, for example, Crosby, Malkin, and Letang? Because that would be the good comparison. Now, I think we could all agree that Pittsburgh is obviously still going to be relevant for a few years. Could we see a Pittsburgh-Chicago final again in the near future?
I highly doubt it. I can see Chicago especially kind of being like Detroit was for, close to a decade after they won their last cup, where they still made the playoffs. They just barely got in there. They didn't do much damage. They'd win a round here or there.
So that raises the question: is should those
What's
guys
that
be traded while your value's high, or are you just trying to? Is it like some tech company that has a fad who just tries to ride it to the end?
But is there a team that's going to take on $10.5 million?
Oh, 100% they would.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean
they would get big returns for one of those 2 guys right now.
For sure, there's lots of people that are in rebuilds and stuff like that who are looking to just supplement over the next 3-4 years, and make it to their cap floor, and have a guy like that, like Taves, who knows how to win, who can teach your young guys as you're drafting how to win in the league. Like I think you could find buyers. I mean, you're not going to get a superstar marquee up and comer back for them, but you can at least start to build your asset pool and start like it's almost like a pre-rebuild. It's like so that when you hit that rebuild, you're already ahead of the curve. And like I think that I think LA should have done this years ago. Like maybe not years
do you
ago,
think
but at least a couple
re-signing
years
Doughty
ago.
was a mistake on their part?
Well, not Doughty, because defensemen are so hard to find somebody to replace, and that's
But
a
imagine
guy.
what they could have gotten in the trade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Right.
It's
That's
hard
the way to look at it.
It's hard to argue against it, but
Yeah.
it's easy to argue for it as well.
I
So.
think the biggest reason why they won't is that would be the end of that GM's job. The fans would despise.
Yeah.
You'd
them.
think so, but look at the dumb moves that a GM like in Ottawa has made.
Yeah, but there are no fans in Ottawa. They don't care.
Yeah, but there's barely any fans in California either.
Look at
Well, LA is a bad example. They should have done it. Yes.
Chicago, maybe.
Chicago, like those guys are gods.
But you think that really, like, honestly, like a GM comes onto the scene and he says, "Look, we've made our 3 cups with these guys. We're starting to look like we're on the decline. I want to get this prospect pool built right away so we can do this again for another 10 years. We all know it's coming if you come out honestly as a GM."
So throw some trade scenarios out there.
yeah.
So, say they wanted to, let's use the still unsigned Nylander.
Mm-hmm.
Who would Chicago trade for Nylander,
For
if you
Nylander?
want to get those 3? Because then they get a young guy to replace Kane, Taves, or they trade Keith.
Well, that's the
And
thing.
does Toronto make a trade like that?
Toronto would make that trade because they can't afford to pay Nylander what he wants as it is now.
No, they're not gonna.
They're not going to pick up one of those
No.
contracts. But let's say that Toronto was in a situation like Arizona where they don't have, they have nothing that is eating up all their money and time. They're not. Again, you're not going to trade marquee players. What you're doing is you're building your picks and your prospect pools. You're
have to get
looking.
something.
You're looking for a first rounder and
You can get a couple first rounders.
and
for 'em.
then a high AHL prospect who's got a big ceiling. You know what I mean? And yes, you would be just like Babcock as when he came to Toronto, where he's like, "There's no pain coming," or "There's pain coming,"
Gonna be playing.
Yeah, it's.
We got good players.
So that's what you're looking for, and then you rebuild from there, and it happens quicker than what. You're not going through 10 years of pain as opposed to 3.
I can see if they start to fall this year, then you start thinking about it. But as long as they're winning, no. There's no way.
It's too early to
I
tell.
still think like that would crush Bowman. Like the fans would be calling for his head if he traded away their franchise players. They're still young enough. That's the thing. They've still got at least a good 5 years in them, in my opinion. Keith is what? He's getting up there now.
Keith is like 30,
35?
35, 36, yeah.
So
Given when it started, which group of 3 guys would you rather have? Pittsburgh's group of 3 or Chicago's group of 3?
right now, or
When
if
it's
you've had them
Over
when they were-
the term of their entire careers.
Oh, that's hard.
Pittsburgh's.
Really?
Yeah, I know they've only won the 2.
Yeah.
No, 3.
Did they win 3? Oh, they did win 3 too. Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Pittsburgh.
they both won 3 each.
Yeah.
As good as Taves and Kane are, they're not Malkin or Crosby, especially Crosby. If you have a chance to get a player like Crosby, you get a player like Crosby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't know injuries. You don't know that Crosby had injury problems. You don't know Letang is hurt every year. Those 3 players are better.
They are better, but
You can't argue one's been more successful.
no, you can't.
So no one's gonna lose this argument.
Taves and Kane have definitely been injured a lot less than
Yep.
Malkin and Crosby.
Yep.
And Letang. Letang
Yep.
seems like glass too. So,
Malkin's been the healthiest, I think, of them.
which ones would you take, Nolan? I see the wheels spinning
I
in the mud.
It was muddy outside.
Can I mix?
No, you can't mix.
Not mixed.
I don't know. I'd probably take Chicago.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah. Just to be the opposite of Brian.
That works.
You know the one thing that Chicago had that Pittsburgh didn't was Seabrook. Pittsburgh
The
never
extra
had
defenseman.
that extra top 4, like someone to play with Keith, that big stay-at-home guy.
Yeah,
Seabrook was huge for them,
he was,
and Pittsburgh didn't have that
especially during their playoff
on
runs.
any of their runs. So
But Pittsburgh could score. And they
But
do
that's
it a
the
lot,
thing,
And they're doing it a lot. So.
Even in both Pittsburgh's runs, it wasn't. I mean, Crosby and Malkin were obviously amazing, but you also got a lot of help from like guys like Gensel and Kessel and that. And
Phil Kessel,
in
two-time Stanley Cup champ.
same thing in Chicago's runs when you had Sharp, he was going for it, and who else was there at that time? Hossa. In
Hossa
their
was
early
big.
one, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like a lot of it comes from the secondary. Those two models seem to be about the same. But
Hope so.
Anyways, two great teams.
I have to retire.
I mean, as a fan, I'll be glad when the whole Pittsburgh-Chicago thing is over. To tell you the truth, I'm just kind of waiting for the next the next roll around, see who the next dynasty teams are going to be.
Yeah.
Arizona. Did you see them make mincemeat out of Tampa Bay's rear the other night?
No,
7-1.
really.
Yeah.
I didn't see that game.
They learned how to score.
They did.
It's like
7
Vasilevsky in
times.
NHL 19. He's terrible. So bad.
Talking about DeBrincat as well in Chicago, he's on a sophomore year. He's doing really well. No sophomore slump. I was thinking back about last year's Calder race. We had Barzal and Besser and Hishe and DeBrincat and Keller. And I was just thinking, is this year's going to be quite as exciting? We have Kakanyemi, who's over in Montreal playing well. Yamamoto, if he stays with McDavid, could make it. Pettersson, Dahlin. Who do you guys think is the early Calder candidate?
I like Heiskanen in Dallas,
Yeah, he has looked really good.
Yeah.
He only has 3 points,
but he's good.
he
can
actually
skate.
looks very good. He looks very similar to
Yeah.
Dahlin. I think right now it's hands down, not even close. It's Pettersson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He looks like the only true star.
Now he
out
did
of the
have
rookie class right
he
now.
did have a bit of an injury.
Yeah, he's back now.
He's back now. If he runs into an injury-plagued season, who would be the second place, or could it go anyway?
If that, yeah.
The problem is all the ones that you'd expect are off to slow starts. Like Dahlin has I think 4 points. Kakanyemi hasn't even scored yet. He's got 4 assists. Rasmussen's been disappointing. Hold on, I got some other disappointments. Middlestat in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I've seen a few Buffalo games this year in the preseason. He has looked invisible.
And he was
made the
touted.
team?
He was touted as
What did
going
he
to
go,
be
8th or
amazing.
9th overall? He was a high draft pick.
I actually took him in as my rookie in my pool this year, and he's not looked good. No.
And Michael Rasmussen on Detroit has 1 assist so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know he was on the team, but he is.
Yeah.
And he has been invisible again. Another really high draft pick, first rounder. But out of the ones so far, all these nobodies. Like Brady Tkachuk was playing really well. But then he got a torn ligament, I think, in one of his legs, so he's out for at least a month. But he had, 3 goals and 6 points in 4 games. And Ottawa, Max Lejoie, never heard of him before. Lejoie, defenseman.
Lejoy?
And he has 4 goals and 7 points in 9 games. So he's off to a great start. I don't see him keeping that up. And Colin White, I've always been a fan of Colin White on Ottawa.
In Ottawa.
He's got 6 points so far this year.
So realistically, we don't really have anybody.
There's no
and we don't.
pretty weak rookie class.
We really don't have a rookie that stands out that is even really on a considerable playoff team.
No.
There's a lot of rookie defensemen.
Oh yeah, Ottawa, Vancouver, Detroit. Those are the teams.
Those guys.
So the one guy in Detroit that I've never even heard of the name before, to be honest, and he was a first-round pick, was Dennis Cholowski, defenseman.
Never heard of him?
No, sorry.
Amateur scout over here.
Jeez.
I know you're a big expert on him. But 2 goals, 6 points on Detroit from a defenseman. He's playing 22 minutes a game. So that was shocking to see.
Yeah. It's obviously getting a shot over there.
Yeah. Again, you're on a really weak team. You're going to get
I guess it all comes to who's going to make the most out of their shot, right?
If Pettersson can stay relatively healthy, it should be a runaway. Unless Dahlin can actually start playing like he should.
If hockey doesn't work out for Pettersson, he's got a career in wrestling. See him take that choke slam?
Yeah, I don't think it was fake though.
He didn't take it so well. That was the problem.
Yeah.
He's got to put on weight, that kid.
If Dahlin, let's say Pettersson rolls away with the points lead for sure, but throughout the season, Dahlin becomes a really solid defenseman in Buffalo, and Buffalo manages to make the playoffs where Vancouver doesn't. Does that push Dahlin over the top for Calder contention?
It's going to come down to numbers. It always does.
Yeah, but you can't compare numbers with defensemen.
They still do though. Like, if he ends up with 20 points and is great defensively and leads Buffalo to playoffs, then no.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's in the 30 to 40 point range, then yeah, I can see him getting some consideration. I think you got to find that buffer. He's got to be able to put up points. You have to win the Calder.
Especially with somebody as well as offensive as he is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Great. Moving on now to coaches. John Torterella last week. I haven't heard his name much in the last couple of years. Yeah, he's kind of been quietly under the limelight over there, and Columbus has been a decent team. He's quoted as saying, "There's no hate, and I miss that. It frustrates me, quite honestly." And there was an expletive in there that I sort of edited out.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah. And he sort of went on to talk about how, they all go to these meetings together with NHLPA and everybody's all lovey-dovey in the face-off circles, and the league, the new NHL, is started sort of missing that hatred. We were talking a couple weeks ago about fighting in the NHL and line brawls and stuff like that. Watching the Toronto-Winnipeg game last night, pretty rough game. A lot of big hits, a lot of chippy play. Is there room in the new NHL for an old school coach like Torterella?
First of all, I just want to say I agree with him that I miss the hate. Like, those were some of the best playoff series. Like Detroit, Colorado, the hatred between those two teams was just unbelievable, and it made for some great games. And it's all the players; they're all best friends. Like, they're buddies off the ice.
Yeah, they work out together off season.
Yeah,
stuff.
they hang out in the summers together. Like, it's.
Nolan, what was your favorite rivalry ever in the NHL? I mean, I think mine would probably be Toronto-Ottawa. I think that's sort of...
It's too one-sided.
It was one-sided
in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, but not in regular season.
That's what makes good rivalries. It was fun.
Yeah.
Because we were Leaf fans.
Yeah.
What year was it? 03? When it was Anaheim and
When Jaguar won the
New Jersey?
In the finals, yeah.
The finals. That was
Yeah,
a
that's
rough
not a
series.
That was a
rivalry.
great series. I don't know if I would call it a rivalry.
Well,
You can't have an East-West
I'm
rivalry.
not as old as you guys, so
Oh.
There hasn't been rivalries since. Well, you're around for
The new
Pittsburgh,
NHL.
Philly, which was a good rivalry.
They don't have that history in the playoffs, though. Like, you need to get
Ottawa.
you need to get two teams that play each other like 3 out of 4 years and just build this hatred for each other. And the one that always stood out to me was Detroit, Colorado.
Well, yeah, I mean that was
just
crazy.
amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, it used to be back in the day that guys couldn't, if you saw the other guy when they were in town on the street, they were going at each other. Right nowadays, like you said, they're all friends. And yeah, I think we do miss that. But again, you're not seeing guys like McSorley trying to take off your star's head anymore and stuff like that. So maybe the game has benefited in a way that it's higher skilled and faster than it used to be.
It's evolved, for sure.
the D5 Ducks and the Hawks. That was a good rivalry.
That's good. I liked when
Didn't they only play each other twice?
Mystery Alaska team played the New York Rangers.
That was a good one too.
Yeah, a great
That
rivalry.
was great. That was a good movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie. As far as Torterella goes, I'd be amazed if he gets another head coaching job after Columbus.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have been amazed after the Rangers, and then I would have been
It was
amazed
incredible.
after Vancouver.
But you know what? I'll give him
I was
props.
amazed after Tampa.
He seems to have evolved somewhat. Like, he's not the same nut job out there that he was for the longest time. Because you said you haven't heard from him in a couple years,
couple
which is
years
good
he's
for
been
him.
quiet. Yeah.
That's what you want with a guy like that. But I don't know, unless he continues to evolve. But if coaches don't evolve with the game, they'll die. It's happened.
That's
all these
true.
old coaches
That's
that
very
just
true.
disappear.
Yep.
And because they can't evolve. And it's Pat Quinn was one of those examples. Rest in peace. But he couldn't evolve his coaching, and he just disappeared. So it's what happens.
Do you think that coaches like Tortorella make their players hate them too much? So now your hatred is going towards your coach as opposed to the other team?
I was
Probably.
just going to say, do you think that's why Panarin and Bobrovsky don't want to play there anymore?
Anything's possible. Without being in that room,
Yeah.
it's all speculation.
I wouldn't want to play for him.
Why? I mean, like,
Coaches like that, either it depends on the player though, because a coach like that can either bring the best out in a player
yeah, or the worst.
or it can bring out the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the kind of guy who can light a fire under you. It just depends on how you react, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you have to, as a coach, you have to be able to adapt to each player and each team every year. Like you have to change your style to those players, because if you don't, then they're not going to.
Especially players now, they're not going to change the way they play.
So let's say that you're Torterella and you get a meeting with, some league execs, and you want to pitch them some rules or some changes that would help bring some hate back into the game. What could you say?
Well, we can't swear on this show, so.
Time machine. it's not happening.
Yeah.
It may evolve into a rougher game again someday, but it's got to happen naturally. You can't-
Truculence.
Maybe you can build some things into contracts saying that you can't work out with other teams or something like that. Or you have to keep your on ice within your organization. You know what I mean?
Are you going to control them in their summers?
Yeah, of course you
Right.
can.
It's not going to happen. No.
No suggestions then.
No.
Summer's,
We're just gonna be.
summer's their time.
We're just stuck with hippie hockey for a while.
Yes.
I played for Torterella, I would be scared.
Stop yelling at me. Yeah, I think I would thrive under a Torterella system. I always found that.
Tough love.
Not so much tough love, but like
Tough love.
I like when I was playing hockey. I preferred when somebody was holding me accountable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they don't, they just let you do whatever you want. Then I found the team always falls apart. Last but not least today, last but not least.
It's least. That's why it's last.
One of the overarching themes that we've heard about in the NHL this year is Philadelphia's new mascot. Gritty is his name, and he's gritty looking. It got me to thinking the other day, because I was watching one of those hilarious videos. I don't know if you guys have seen them, where the mascots play against the little kids in the football games.
Love those.
Those are the best. And then I was thinking about mascots, and I seen in the basketball games where a mascot will bounce off a trampoline and do a flip and slam dunk or whatever. We don't really see that from hockey. However, like, it's not as bad as something like soccer where there is no mascot. Nothing's going on. But this gritty guy seems to be generating a lot of attention with his antics and stuff like that. Do you think that there's a place in hockey for mascots, or is it something that's just for the kids, sort of?
Well, I think you said it. The biggest, in my opinion, the biggest benefit of mascots, or their biggest job, is to get the kids to love the game. Because the kid will fall in love. Some kid that is too young to watch hockey or know what's going on, they see this giant thing. Usually they're friendly.
Yeah.
Usually.
See it, unless you're a Philadelphia
Not
kid.
so much
you're,
in the
you're a little different than normal kids.
They like to toughen up those Philly fans
But
early.
you see that big friendly mascot, and the kid just falls in love with it, and that gets the kid interested in hockey. And then they're like, oh, I want to watch this, or I want to go to a game.
It's like Toronto.
That's huge.
Just
I
a
think
big cuddly bear.
he's just a big teddy bear. But that's
What about the Ice Dogs? Bones there. Bones is practically a national hero down here.
Yeah.
but
Everybody
He
loves
shows up
Bones.
to every carnival.
and you see them. That's it. You see them off camera all the time.
Yeah.
When you go to a game, the mascot's always walking around, posing for pictures, high fiving with kids, hugging them. Like the kids remember that. Like as a little kid, you remember experiences like that. So that's huge, and that's to help grow the game, keep the kids coming back, new generation. And then once they get older, they'll start appreciating the hockey more. But the mascots go a long way there. So I think they play a big part.
Given that opinion, Nolan, do you think that gritty was the right way to go for Philly?
No. No. They could have thought of something way nicer looking than that. It's like they just, like they saw, like the streamers. It's like they saw those like waving going, oh.
Oh, the wacky inflatable arm waving guys?
Yeah. So they're like, that's what we need.
I think if it was any of the other 30 markets, I would agree with you. But it works in Philadelphia.
Think so?
He is perfect for Philadelphia.
I
Like,
guess so, because
you look at him and you're like, even if he wasn't wearing the jersey, or even if he wasn't orange, if you just made him, you'd be like, that's a Flyers mascot for
even
sure.
because the baseball mascot is that.
Yeah, he's terrifying as well. That weird
looking
nose
thing.
green guy. And
Yeah.
although Montreal's mascot's not much better. Youppi, a terrifying thing too. A little friendlier. Doesn't have the googly eyes, but still kind of terrifying.
I don't think that Gritty's so much scary as he is this like goofy. Like he reminds me of the Muppets.
He's like a Muppet on crack. But that's was the main thing.
Don't they all look like that anyways?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But he's a little more cracky.
Who's the little red one? And the hair is a mess. That's what he
Yeah.
looks like.
Elmo?
No, not Elmo.
Well, what's your alternative in Philly?
Elmo was Sesame Street.
I suppose you could dress a
What
guy
about
up. Looks like maybe the dude that jumped in the box after Domi.
Like,
He had to be a Philly
Philly
hero.
he's perfect for Philly. I hated him at first. I'm like, how is this? I thought it was a joke. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, no, he makes sense for Philly. Like, when you watch Flyers fans, like, what have they done before? They boo everything.
I was just going to
Like,
say this pumpkin's
Pumpkin's on
The
fire.
pumpkin's on fire. It's like the Knights from last year. They're like Flyers fans are one of a kind. They're nuts.
They
And
are.
They're not classy people. I think as a generalization, Gritty just fits.
Speaking of crazy fans, Jets fans, what do you think about the Jets' third jerseys?
Oh, we were talking about this.
Because I didn't see him before the other night. First time I saw him the other night.
I like the color. I don't like the logo.
Yeah, that's my opinion. I love the jerseys.
Yeah.
That color, it looks so good on the ice too.
Do you guys like the baseball typewriting?
No, I don't
Not
like the
in-
logo.
Like they did it in Minnesota as well. Their
I
thirds.
don't like any of the writing. Any team that's just had the name across the chest.
What
that
about
says
the
New
Rangers
York.
going down?
No.
I hate that.
I like the
Stupid.
Rangers
No, I don't
angle.
like it. It's a classic.
That's classic.
But I
Especially
hate
when
it.
they just had New York going down there. I hated that one.
It's stupid. Get creative. Like,
I would
how
have
many
liked.
people do they have on their marketing team? They can't come up with an actual logo?
I would have liked keep the color, but use the old logo.
I didn't like the color.
I don't
either.
think they can. I think because it belongs to the Thrashers, I believe.
It looked a lot like.
Really?
Yeah, that
I
would
think
have.
that's the issue.
No.
I could be wrong,
It
but I
would-
don't think they have the copyrights
It
for that
wouldn't.
old
It
logo.
doesn't belong to the Thrashers. It belongs
To
to
the NHL.
Whoever-
It belongs to Arizona.
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's
when I
the
said Thrashers.
yeah. That's the franchise that owns it.
Yeah, my bad.
But
Arizona needs money. Just
Shut
Yeah.
up. Winnipeg doesn't have a ton of money either.
they should trade him the logo for Scheifele.
Ooh.
But okay, so you don't like the logo, but you like the jerseys. What did you think of Carolina's thirds?
Same thing.
I love the logo though. The
I don't like the
flags,
logo.
those are awesome.
It's
the
better.
best thing to come out of Carolina in a long time.
I like the
if you ask
jerseys
me.
though. I like that black. It looks good.
I didn't like any of it at first, but then I saw them
Playing?
play with them, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay. I like the jerseys, but I
Yeah.
don't like the logo.
I just love jerseys.
I like the logo. I think it looks like
Hockey jerseys are the best.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
they do hold up better than
Oh, they're
almost
so
any other
good.
jersey.
The one I hate though this year is Pittsburgh's. I hate just
The third one?
the all gold, and I don't like it. It's too yellow.
I don't
It
think
looks
I've
like
seen that yet.
Nashville. Look it up. You have a computer.
Like, anyways, drop us a comment. Let us know. Do mascots have a place in the NHL or no? And how would you get more hate on the ice?
favorite jerseys, least favorite jerseys.
Yeah, that's be a good one to talk
Yeah.
about. So
Yeah, do that in there.
maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
Top 5 jerseys in the league, maybe for
Okay.
next week.
Overall, of all
Like,
time.
all
Overall,
time?
all time.
Ooh,
Start thinking now.
this is gonna be nice.
Okay. If you like the video, hit the like button for us. Subscribe. We'd love to have some more subscribers. And tune in next week, and we'll be back with another show. Thanks, guys.
Get your fire extinguisher, Brian.